I see you, and I see what you're not doing. Well, first of all, let's start with positive comments. You're taking care of your beard. You're taking care of your hair. You look spiffy, but yet you neglect your eyebrows, that important part of your face. Those are the things that you're not doing. But let me tell you, people notice. Let me read you some mean tweets. That's right, it's Berzinsky here. I'm going to save you from embarrassment by helping you to groom your eyebrows. Let's talk about how important it is, how to do it, and what you can expect from the results. Stay tuned. Recently, I went live on TikTok and live on Instagram, and there is inevitably some comments about my eyebrows. And then I also get direct messages. Let me read you some of those. Dude, let's talk about those eyebrows. You need them trimmed ASAP. Looks like those eyebrows are looking a little wild. Don't you think it's about time you tamed those bad boys? What's up with the crazy long eyebrows, bro? Time to reel in those eyebrows. I think you need to trim your eyebrows. They need a bit of grooming. And for my own daughter, I just trimmed my eyebrows. I think it's your turn. Not really so mean, but people's live comments are a little meaner, and I don't have those captured so much. But people actually do notice your eyebrows. And to the point where if you look at famous celebrities without eyebrows, not a pretty sight. People do notice. And because they actually frame your eyes, they frame your face, they actually stop the motion, especially when you have a mustache and a beard. Before it gets to your hairline, they stop the motion of people traveling up your face, and they concentrate more on your eyes. They're actually there for a purpose. The purpose is actually to catch sweat, and in some cases to provide shade for your eyes. Men have typically a more masculine brow, larger bone protrusion here. And a lot of that has to do with probably headbutting, but also shade, helping to shade your eyebrows. And for other reasons, the aesthetic one being to set off your eyes. But a lot of guys go about the wrong way to trim their eyebrows. You might have seen videos like this. Whether you're doing this at home or whether you're doing this with a barber, this is not the approach. When you ask a barber to trim your mustache, does he come? Unless you specifically request a clipper cut mustache, no barber is going to take a clipper and take your mustache down to a 1 or 2 or 3. It's just not going to happen. So this is what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with eyebrows that continue to grow. So these were trimmed probably about maybe 6 weeks ago. And yet they continue to grow to the tune of my eyebrows being, 2.5 inches long. And I think they would actually get longer than that. Ed Asner famously possessed these eyebrows, and people would comment that he could win an award for the caterpillars that took perch on his forehead for a wildlife documentary. So this is not where you want to be. So you can actually see in combing my eyebrows down how that closes off the face. And also, it's annoying. They're in my eyes. And so you want to do that. You don't want to comb them down because you don't want the hair in your eyes. And also, it's just not flattering. So part of this is function. You don't want the eyebrows in your eyes. And you also want them to improve the way you look by combing them at least in a neutral position, which would be straight to the side, or in a more uplifted position, which would be combing them up. So what you don't need in order to trim your eyebrows is your trimmer. Just like that video of the barber taking off someone's eyebrows, do not use a trimmer with a clipper on to get an even cut on your eyebrows. You might choose to use a trimmer without a guard on it, with the blade fully brought up for the closest cut possible, to do some of the cuts that I'm going to show you with scissors, but you're never going to use a trimmer on your eyebrows with a guard in order to hedge trim your eyebrows. Just don't do it. What you do need to trim your eyebrows is pretty simple. You need your comb, Beardbrand comb, you need your Beardbrand scissors, and an option, your Beardbrand tweezers. So some of the basics of your eyebrows, for the most part, a lot of guys will have 2 eyebrows. I've made videos before about the monobrow, whether you want to keep the monobrow or get rid of it. Monobrow would be having a significant amount of hair in the middle that attaches to your eyebrows. I think the jury is out on whether people prefer or not prefer. Some people hate it, despise it. I'm pretty neutral on it. Mine has gotten almost non-existent as I've gotten older, and actually is fairly gray, and it is almost invisible. And so for the most part, I pluck those hairs, and that's where your tweezers may come into play. If you want to groom your eyebrows and you don't want a monobrow, you are going to pluck your hairs. I'll show you a close-up of how to do that, but you also might want to use your tweezers to tweeze any just hairs that seem to be out of place on your eyebrows. And that would be growing outside of the main distribution of your eyebrow. You know, you can get away with trimming your eyebrows probably once a month. If you spend 5 minutes on your eyebrows once a month, if you pluck them with a tweezer, they're going to be gone for the entire month. You won't even have to worry about them. So is it worth it for 5 minutes of your time to improve your looks significantly? I think it is. Let's zoom in here and take a look at my eyebrows up close. My eyebrows have been growing at a particularly fast pace since I was about 30 years old. So it's not in advanced age as someone like myself. It is just as you hit maturity, your eyebrows are going to be one of those parts of your body where the hair continues to grow. They will actually, in a lot of cases, continue to get thicker as you get older. So pretty straightforward when cutting your eyebrows. What you want to do is actually comb the eyebrow up. You can see, and pretty much like the way I cut my mustache is dividing each half into thirds. So if we have 1/2 of the mustache, 2/3 are the part that I cut fairly short, and then I leave the third part a little longer. You want to do a similar thing with your eyebrows. So if you strike a line from the tip of your nose up through your pupil, you can hit this area, which is generally the high point of your eyebrow. So tip of nose through your eyeball is going to hit this line. And so this tail of your eyebrow, push that off to the side. So combing the eyebrows up, that 2/3, pushing it towards the center. And I'm going to come through and I'm going to cut. I'm going to pull this away from my eyebrow about like 1/4 of an inch. And then I'm just going to take that hair while it's pushed toward the middle. Push it to the middle. By pushing it to the middle, what you're doing is causing the hair to actually feather. So when it's cut straight here, you can see that's really straight. When it falls in the opposite way, it is not going to be as blunt. And that's really all you're going to do. You're just going to take that straight line. And that works. And if your eyebrows fall down, they're going to be sufficiently short not to come down and cover your eye. And then you can push them up to open up your eyes visually. With the remaining third of your eyebrow, you're going to push it over toward your temple and just take a straight line. And this is okay to have a straight line here. You're going to take that up to the point where you meet the pieces that you previously cut. Let's do the other. Pushing the hair toward the middle, the 2/3 of the hair, leaving the tail separate. Pushing it towards the middle, and then coming through and cutting that straight off. Once again, you can see when that falls down, it is going to fall down, and if it really falls down, it's not coming down into my eye anymore. Now to cut the tail, you can see that these tails are really going zoopy up here. Zoopy, that's a word. We're going to push these towards the temple. And then I'm going to come through here and just cut those off straight. Connecting from the bottom where you cut to the point where you had cut the top ones. That's it, guys. I mean, we are literally talking something that's going to take you a minute. And you don't have to get the clipper. And so I think it's just a better look. We're trying to actually come up with a styling routine that is quick, takes a minute, and doesn't look overdone. That does not look like you spent all this time doing it. That doesn't look like you are trying to make these theatrical shapes out of your eyebrows. Not the point. The point for me is to actually just make them tighter, make them less extreme because of the length, make them more functionally aesthetic, that they're not going to roll into my eyes, and make them more visually aesthetic by just spending a minute on the brows. So how much you tweeze, up to you. How short you cut them, up to you. Once again, with a lot of these things, when you learn to trim your own mustache or when you're learning to trim your own beard, that first time can be difficult. If you spend 1 or 2 times doing the eyebrows, you're not going to mess them up to the point where like, gosh, I got to get these fixed. Worst case scenario is you do pull out the clippers and you buzz them down a little bit. But for the most part, I guarantee you that if you stay above the hairline here, this hairline here, and when you cut them, if you're always above that hairline, your eyebrows are going to be safe. What some mistakes people might be doing is pulling their hair up and then cutting into the top of the hair. Don't do that. Stay above the hairline here. Let me talk a little bit about the razor. You see a lot of videos of guys getting their eyebrows groomed to perfection by guys coming through and shaving the top of the eyebrow, shaving the underside, shaving the middle, shaving all around. You know, that's fine, but when you shave, how long does your shave last? You get 5 o'clock shadow, what does it last, 8 hours? It lasts 24 hours. Same thing is going to happen with your eyebrows. If you actually shave any of the hair related to your eyebrow at the top, especially, or in the middle, it's growing back. So if you have hairs that you want to get rid of, you are going to be tweezing them. You are not going to be using a razor to shave your eyebrows. If you don't want to be spending a lot of time doing grooming, stay away from your razor. So that's it, guys. Simple way to trim your eyebrows. I think you realize the importance of doing that. If you don't, maybe your eyebrows aren't an issue. There are guys' eyebrows who do not grow, who have thin eyebrows, who have eyebrows that are pale on their skin. It may not be an issue for you, but I see enough guys out there who have particularly bushy eyebrows. Once again, this video is not to encourage, unless you want to, an over manicured eyebrow. This is really a functional thing to get rid of hair that might be coming into your eyes and to actually be stopping some mean tweets. Do you care what people think? In this case, I think you might. I think people are calling this out maybe for a reason. The fact that it is associated with looking like a wild man, looking like a caveman, looking like a crazy man. You'll see me often when I groom my beard. Might take a little bit of the styling paste that I use in my beard, and I will take whatever residue I have on my hands. You often see me taking whatever residue I had on my beard and putting it into my eyebrows. And so that's something I would continue to do. If you actually cut your eyebrows and you just put a tiny little bit of styling paste into your eyebrows, it'll actually help to hold them in place. And it actually is a better look. It looks like you've groomed your eyebrows without calling attention to the fact that you have an over-groomed eyebrow. So hope it helps. Comment below and tell me if you groom your eyebrows, if your eyebrows are an issue in terms of them growing. As always, looking forward to reading your comments.